Kings fans should be livid. Their team beat out COVID, rule breakers, and star injuries as the worst thing in the bubble. They lost yet again and are basically playing for nothing at this point. They started this thing tied with the Blazers and the Pelicans, but no one actually thought that they were gonna make any noise. That was a slap in the face, but the Kings proved everyone right. They are horrible. In this video, we're breaking down how the Kings move forward after being the disgrace of Orlando, what they should do with Marvin Bagley, and if they should finally fire Luke Walton. Welcome to AM Hoops. Hit subscribe and notification bells. Today's video is brought to you by 2 Patreon subscribers. Our first one is our latest sub. His name is Julian. He loves basketball and soccer. Hopefully he is starting his own YouTube page here pretty soon. The other one is Garrett Young, who just joined and requested this Kings video. If you want to request a video or get a shout out, check out the Patreon link in the description. Now, I am not someone who says fire the coach because they are real people with families, but Walton is pushing me to the limit. He played under Phil Jackson and was an assistant under Steve Kerr. You would think he picked up something from those legends. Instead, he picked up where he left off with the Lakers, losing. The Kings were supposed to win both of their first 2 games in Orlando, but got blown out instead by the Spurs and the Magic. All of Walton's issues summed up in those 2 games. When the Spurs went on a 19-0 run, he didn't call a timeout, and they were down double digits. He has a horrible relationship with Buddy Hield. You can see why. He made Hield play point guard against the Spurs, a position Buddy does not play. Every time he dribbled it up, a guaranteed turnover. The dude isn't great at creating offense, but was benched when he didn't create offense. How does that make any sense? Why put your second highest paid player in a position to fail and continue to ruin your relationship with him? The Kings' defense was awful in the first 2 games. The Spurs and Magic shot 46% from downtown. In the 3rd game, Luka Doncic had a 34-point, 20-board, 12-assist triple-double. The thing that really made me mad, though, was the final minutes in that loss to Dallas. The Kings needed this win. They led the entire game. Then Luke basically stopped coaching. They went scoreless in the final 2 minutes. In overtime, they played basically all ISO ball and lost the game. No imagination, no play calls, a total fail. Now, I know that must have made actual Kings fans mad too, but what they really hate is Walton after the game. He's always saying he has to watch the tape, which makes fans want to pull their hair out, but it also makes them create funny memes. So there's a positive. And again, I am not a fire the coach guy. It is very rare that I say this, but I think the Kings do need to move on from Luke Walton. So where do they turn to next? Well, what about all the coaching candidates for the Knicks that weren't named Tom Thibodeau? Of course, Tibbs got the job. What about Kenny Atkinson? He would be amazing for this team. They've got young talent. De'Aaron Fox looked amazing in those first 3 games. He had a career-high 39 points. He was athletic as hell. He almost won some games single-handedly. Buddy Hield is a good scorer, and Marvin Bagley has hope. They wouldn't be too different from Brooklyn. A borderline all-star, young talent, but the Kings own all their draft picks. Other candidates included Jason Kidd, Will Hardy, and Ime Udoka from the Spurs. Anyone at this point besides Luke Walton would be welcomed by Kings fans and probably most of their players. Now, one thing Luke Walton does know about is how bad foot injuries are for big men. His dad is the #1 example of an all-time great talent cut down by injury. Other guys like Greg Oden never even touched their potential. Marvin Bagley III might be next here, but what does another injury for him now mean for the Kings going forward? Well, it means they really blew the #2 overall pick in the 2018 draft. The Kings organization will sugarcoat that. Some fans will downplay it, but when the next pick is Luka Doncic, you messed up. And it's even worse when the dude you took can't contribute at all. It's like injury, rehab, injury, rehab. I'm sure he's crushed physically and mentally at this point. He re-injured his foot in January and only played 13 games before the season shut down. Then he had 4 months to heal and still injured his other foot in the bubble. So they leaned on Alex Len and Rashawn Holmes in the front court, but obviously none of those guys have the talent potential of Marvin Bagley III. The only positive here is he really got his rap game on point with all that downtime.
Look, riddle me this, how many records I need to put out so you know I can spit?
Yes, he may be a better NBA rapper than Damian Lillard, but he's only played 75 games in 2 seasons. But still, even with that huge red flag, Marvin Bagley is the future of the Kings front court. He's just 21 years old, a number 2 overall pick. He has lots of talent. They would never get equal value back in a trade. He gets paid around $8 million right now. That is less than Thomas Satoransky or John Henson, for example. Imagine Marvin Bagley talent on your roster for that little money. Now, I know he's not healthy, but what if you traded him for way less value, then he reignited his career somewhere else? That would be a franchise killer. So yes, they should keep Marvin Bagley despite the constant injuries because they have no choice. The last major issue for this team is the front office. The Marvin Bagley pick was bad enough, but when you look at their salary cap sheet as a whole, you see how stupid these decisions are. Next year, their highest paid players are Buddy Hield, then Harrison Barnes, then Corey Joseph. Who is that team beating? Seriously, are the Kings going to be the worst team in the West next year? Well, let's look at the West standings. Okay, the Warriors are back. The Timberwolves have Cat, D'Lo, and a top pick. The Suns are looking good, and they actually made a great coaching hire with Monty Williams. The rest of these teams speak for themselves. So yes, you can point right to the front office for putting together the worst team in the bubble and the worst team in the Western Conference going forward. The Kings' only real hope at this point is a full rebuild, and that will include trades. The first guy they have to move is Buddy Hield. He's almost 28 years old and making $24+ million a year. If they wait any longer, they're gonna have to pay someone a draft pick just to take him. They can still, though, build around De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley, but every other piece should be on the trading block so they have a good shot at the number 1 overall pick in next year's draft. Now, the biggest hope for Sacramento right now in this rebuild is the potential of Marvin Bagley III and De'Aaron Fox as a duo. We still have no idea what the talent level of Bagley is at the NBA level. Because he's been injured, of course he's missed a lot of time on the court, but he's also missed time to develop. If Bagley pops and lives up to his number 2 status, then the Kings actually have a chance at a good near future. If he doesn't pop, well, it is a long rebuild. I do expect them to re-sign Bogdanovic here in the near term. That's probably why they moved Dwayne Dedmon's contract, but Bogdanovic will not make a difference in their record next year. This experience in the bubble has been awful for the Kings. They came in with some hope and they fell flat on their face. The only good news is it can't get much worse. Next year they will be last in the Western Conference, and hopefully for them, some big changes will be made. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a daily NBA video.